Okay, next up is Fair Game, and this is directed by Doug Liman, who brought us Mr. and Mrs. Smith some years ago. A very entertaining, of course, action comedy starring Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie 5 years ago. Now he's also made The Bourne Identity as well, and this is where he really of course understands the whole guns, action, espionage sort of movies, be it comedic or just a serious action film. This is the fact-based tale of Valerie playing a non-official covert operative in the employ of the CIA, and her diplomat husband, Joseph Wilson. Now, one personality, I guess you could say, fed on secrecy, the other bravado and public outrage. Fair Game takes us back to a place many of us are reluctant to revisit in the name of George W. Bush, of course, in the White House in the years 02 and 03 when the wars overseas were really taking shape. As the excuses for invading Iraq got more, seems just run into thin air and deceptive by the second. Naomi Watts portrays the main character, and she is, of course, a very talented actress. We first see working undercover in Kuala Lumpur. Now, she comes and goes while her husband, played by the always fantastic Sean Penn, wonders where she's coming and going from. Now, we've been, we've been leaving post-its for each other for months. Now, if you go missing, I can't tell anybody where you are because you're never there, sort of thing. And I always love that. I love that sort of dialogue, kind of in the movies like this. It kind of goes. I won't say light, because you can't have a movie like this be too light. But at the same time, it's in that style where they're human too. You know what I mean? They are people at the end of the day, despite what they do. Even their job kind of makes their personality somewhat downtrodden. Now, they know it's a lie that must be retold. Now, this is the most interesting material in the film. Now, everyday domestic weirdness, and among kids and whatnot, schedules and whatnot, of a spy and her husband, really just he's a former U.S. ambassador, by the way. Really just plays into the movie quite well. It's like the elements of Mr. and Mrs. Smith have just been turned down to the volume of 2 or 1, kind of so to speak. But the CIA sent Wilson to Nigeria to determine whether Saddam Hussein had attempted to buy uranium yellow cake for his weapons program. Now Wilson came back with a no, and the Bush team wanted a yes. But of course, one thing led to another. Wilson, wrote an op piece in the New York Times taking issue with how his intelligence was ignored. Now, I gotta say too that as well, this whole thing comes together. It's not an overdone political thriller, which I've reviewed in the past, like Body of Lies with Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio, which was just an outlandishly bad film. It's really well put together here, and I gotta say, I gotta give credit to, of course, both Watts and Penn. They really do mesh well together. Penn is actually good at these type of movies. He did The Interpreter a few years back with Nicole Kidman, which was a very entertaining movie. And Sean Penn, of course, at times I find some of his most lauded performances to be his most overrated, and yet his most underrated to be some of his best work. That's always been my view on Sean Penn. He is a great actor. Like, a lot of people got on my back about saying his work in Milk was overrated. But I'm not saying he wasn't good, I'm just saying he didn't deserve the Oscar, at least in my opinion. But again, I like Sean Penn, I always have, and I figure how can he not with some of the performances he's delivered. At the same time, he does really well here. Now, again, it's back to the point of the film. Now, Vice President Dick Cheney's office has eventually leaked Valerie's identity to columnist Robert Novak in an attempt to frame Wilson as a freeloading, unreliable spouse. Once Valerie's name was in print and online, her career was over. But she fought back, and while Fair Game does have a few lines which you wish, it didn't. It's kind of the cliche, it's not cliche, but it sounds cliche kind of thing. It's like they took a creative line and just made it sound like a typical movie cliche. And this is a very absorbing thriller, honoring its subjects without making them into, saints and heroes of America, rah, 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 sis, boom, bah, 50 stars, yeah, kind of thing, which I get really sick of very quick in many movies. Now, I gotta say too that Naomi Watts really plays this character loud and brave and really bold, in which she can do almost like walking backwards on her head. But again, I loved her here, and I really enjoyed it. Now, do audiences really want to revisit this time so soon? I mean, maybe not, maybe so. But I remember All the President's Men. Well, I don't remember it. It was before I was born, but it came out in 1976, about 2 years after the whole Watergate scandal kind of finalized. So no, I don't think it's too soon. I think it's been nearly a decade if you actually think about it. But so I think it's time for these movies to start coming out. But I think we're going to see a brilliant film. This isn't brilliant, but it is really good. So I give Fair Game 3.5 stars out of 5.